Mhm.
Well, hello. Hi, I'm David,
Hi, I'm Jeff.
and we're going to be talking about. Well, we're trying to get more organized, I guess. We've got some topics about antitrust related to Google and Meta, apparently. Um, uh, the last case against Donald Trump that is currently in courts that hasn't been dismissed, and some other things going on.
Just what's happening in the world.
Yep. So, where do you want to start?
Let's talk about Trump because he's the latest thing.
So, besides, okay. So first off, how many cases does he have against him? None now, right?
Well,
Um,
this is the last one that hasn't been dismissed.
Well, so technically the fraud case hasn't been dismissed, right?
Correct.
The sentencing has just been put off indefinitely, and the judges told him that he has the option to ask for dismissal, which I'm sure he's going to do.
Correct.
So technically that one's still outstanding, but yes. So what's funny about this is I think this obviously shows that all these cases
We're
had nothing to do
political.
with
Correct.
actual bad things he's done.
Yep. Now, I'm not saying he's innocent of everything, but at the same time, he's innocent of this BS.
Yes, it's like the civil case that one lady brought against him
Mm-hmm.
for rape, but it wasn't rape,
Yep.
sexual assault. So he never got, well, it never went to court. The judge summarily decided that he had not committed the rape, but the
But
sexual
he
assault,
was
with no evidence
with,
provided by Trump.
with no evidence provided by anyone.
Well, she said it happened, so
Well,
that's
and
evidence,
it's
right?
no, it's not.
So it's like you could pick credible witnesses to like you could probably find something he's done in the past that's bad, but apparently not.
Yeah.
Because if you pick the most uncredible people to come after him, then it makes you not look great. So back to this case. Do you think she's going to lose her job?
She just got reelected. And so the only way for her to lose her job, if I see right there on the where your cursor's at,
Yeah.
she literally just got reelected. And the only way for her to lose her job would be her to be disbarred.
So this right here could help lose her job.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. She would have to be disbarred, I think, is the only way for her to lose her job. And so hopefully she does, because unless
How
people
did
get,
she get reelected? I don't understand the country we're living in
I
sometimes.
don't either, but hopefully, uh, unless people start getting punished for the stuff that this abuse, I mean, Jack Smith should be in jail. She should be civilly, at least civilly,
No, she should be in jail for this, right?
and she should be in jail,
Because
criminally charged.
other people went to jail for
Less.
ignoring
Yeah.
subpoenas from Congress. So
Yep. And so, unless people start getting have consequences, this is just going to continue on one side only.
I think there will be consequences. At least I hope so.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of Donald Trump with his DA. No,
No, Attorney General,
Attorney General.
his pick.
And unlike what the media says about conservatives or MAGA people, we want him to find people who did wrong,
And
run
actually,
them through the courts, and then put them in jail. Not just to summarily put whoever he feels like in jail. We don't want that.
correct.
We want him to fix the court system.
Yeah, hopefully there's a lot of changes happen January 21st.
There's already changes.
I know it's been, but some of the changes that
I'll
didn't
hold the
happen.
next story that is on our
Yes,
list.
yes.
What do you think about talking about that?
Yeah, it's been interesting.
So it came out. When was it? Yesterday? It was during this week. I don't know if this is going to be the right story because I haven't looked it up on here. But Zelensky said, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm for peace.
Yeah.
Only if you let me join NATO."
Yeah, and they don't even have to give the lands back they've taken. That's what
Yeah,
he said. So
it's
it's kind of amazing. But Trump got concessions from the president of Mexico, and then she backed off.
yeah,
And so it'll be interesting to see what happens when.
yeah.
I don't expect them to stand up, Mexico or Canada, because Trudeau evidently went to Mar-a-Lago,
Yeah, he had dinner
I
with
think,
Trump.
yeah, yesterday,
Yeah.
and had begging things not to take place. And
Yeah, well, he's going to look even worse than he already does for the economy of Canada if they're not allowed to ship to the U.S.
that won't take place, I'm sure. It's
No,
gonna be
this is how you negotiate.
correct.
This is something that the conservatives have failed at in almost all aspects when we try to negotiate. Unrelated to this, abortion is a topic that comes up a lot, and one of the things that we don't get is you go to the far extreme
To start from.
start negotiating.
Yeah.
That's where you start from, because then people think you're crazy, and then when you say, well, I'll come back a little bit.
Well, you show movement,
You
and
show movement,
yeah,
you look more normal.
it's like if you're buying a car from somebody, you want to negotiate. You want to, you have to give and take a little bit.
You
And
do. But that's what Trump is doing. He's coming out
Yep.
hard and strong and saying, we're going to throw tariffs on you, when in reality, he doesn't want to. He'd rather just negotiate some money.
Yep.
Which is
Totally
smart. That's how
agree.
you do it.
Yep.
But yeah, so it's been interesting for Ukraine. So Putin has come out several times and said, I'm willing to talk peace. He came out the other day and said that he's fearful for Trump's life.
Well, well, how many times did they try to assassinate him? It's probably not over. I mean, the rhetoric has died off from the Democrats.
Some of them.
Yeah, but most of them, vocally, it's died off. And he's not a threat to democracy. He's not a threat to this. He's not. The world's going to end basically if he gets in.
The best, I think, was the Krasenstein brothers on X. They were trying to act like moderate Democrats, but they weren't at all, and they were espousing all kinds of dumb, ridiculous crap. They're no longer on X.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing is moving to Blue Sky.
No, they just left. They didn't
Oh,
even announce they left. They just left.
Huh? Well.
It sounds like them and a bunch of other people were being paid by the DNC and no longer are, and so they don't care.
They took a slice of that 1 point whatever billion dollars
Yes.
for Kamala, like all the other the entertainers and the so-called
Well, it's like Oprah, right?
yeah, Oprah.
Is it? Yeah, it was Oprah.
Yeah.
Someone asked her, you got paid $1 million for that. She's like, I didn't get paid anything. Okay, fine. The LLC shell company that you are the sole owner of got paid. $2.3 million for it.
Yeah, but I didn't get paid anything.
You get paid for that? Okay.
How do I get not paid like that? I want to get not paid like that. I mean, $20 million would be fine for me not to
Sell
get
your
paid.
soul, that's all.
Oh well, I'll sell the sole on my shoe.
There you go.
Wonder if that counts.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. I think there's going to be peace rather quickly, actually.
It'll be day one. It really will,
Yeah.
because nobody wants that.
No, that's true.
Nobody wants that. So the funniest thing about this story that we're looking at right now.
So moving on to non-political but sort of political news.
Well, Google's going to have to be broke up.
So here's I don't like the government getting involved.
I agree.
But also. So the issue with government getting involved is the way I think antitrust in the U.S. is written is if you as a company have taken over the market through innovation and internal efficiencies and stuff like that, then there's not really a case for antitrust for you because you were just really good at what you did and that's how you got the market. But that's not what Google did. They
Correct.
bought everyone.
Yes.
Like literally everyone.
Well, and a lot of companies, they used to do it. I mean, my best bad example of this is a long time ago, okay? So, but this is a monopoly, and where I think it was a great idea that the government broke it up. AT&T.
Oh yeah, with the phone lines.
With the phone lines. They owned everything. And I remember my grandmother, she had one of those old rotary, the big, massive rotary phones. And she paid for about 35 years. She paid AT&T $5 a month rent
Yeah, because she was
on that
leasing it.
phone.
She didn't have to
She
pay rent.
correct. $5 a month for 30 some odd years because it was AT&T and that was the only place you could buy a phone. You couldn't get the phones on the open market. And that's when they broke them up. Guess what? We could go down to Radio Shack, that existed back then, and you could buy a phone for $20.
Yeah, I think breaking up trusts. Breaking up trusts is a kind of a band-aid. I think we need to have better incentives for businesses to do better.
Well, the one thing we have to figure out, and this is, I don't know how to do it, but we really need to figure out how not to make it so desirable for the big companies to buy everybody. Because that'd solve it if we allowed the smaller competition. I mean, I work for a huge company right now, and they're in a buying spree for the last 15 years. And they bought everything, and there's now 4 companies that own the market in the entire US and I work for one of them. And I don't know how to incentivize not doing that. Because, when you have cash, it's an incentive to not hold on to it.
Yeah.
And you've got to do something with it. So what do? You buy companies.
Yeah. You gotta invest in stuff.
And so I don't know what the solution is, but the most enjoyable one I heard about who is to wanting to purchase this from Chrome browser.
Purchase what? So part of the judgment was that Google has to divest of Chrome.
Yep.
Of what else was it? I don't remember, but a bunch of different things they had to get rid of.
Yeah.
Look it up for you to talk about that.
Yeah, you're not going to probably see it.
No, but you can talk about it.
Yeah. Anyhow, the most enjoyable one was that Rumble came out and said, the CEO of Rumble came out and said, let us buy Chrome. And I thought that was hilarious because of how Rumble has been talked so badly about, but it's truly a free speech platform.
Yeah, it would be fun for them to actually buy them out.
Yeah.
But then again, that would be a consolidation of power.
I agree. The other thing on the same note that I have been looking forward to Trump is we have foreign countries that are threatening to throw our tech companies, CEOs and such, and Elon Musk is one of them, in jail for violating a foreign country's laws about how you can't have free speech. You have to censor. And so I'm looking forward to Trump basically telling them, if you do this, we'll just slap tariffs on you. And they'll quit doing it. But it'll be interesting to see because, you don't win an argument by quashing free speech.
No.
You win an argument by having more speech and allowing both sides to talk.
Well, and it's beyond that too, because that is historically been the way to, someone puts erroneous information on X, and that's the best way to get engagement.
Mm-hmm.
You get a bunch of responses telling you you're wrong. Beyond that, though, I think what Elon's done with X is better because Community Notes adds a note to it, so that when you see the post, if it's been noted, you know that it's wrong.
And the funny part about that is Elon Musk has been community noted repeatedly, and so it's not like the owner gets away with stuff.
So besides the sell-off of Chrome, they need to stop exclusionary agreements with third parties. So one thing that Google has done historically is like with Apple pays Google billions of dollars so that they can just use their Chrome, or not Chrome, Google search. So the Google search is preferential. And that is an exclusionary agreement that they just have. So those agreements will no longer exist, which is good.
Yeah.
Actually, no, it's the other way around. Google pays out of that, right? A large amount. Firefox actually gets paid by Google a good amount as well. So there's a bunch of different third parties that get paid money by Google so that they use Google search in their products. And that would be no longer allowed, which would be actually good.
Yeah, anytime you allow real competition, and I'm talking real competition, so a little guy could come in and compete with you. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, and normally how that works is through bankruptcies and companies failing. Um, over the last 10 years or so, or longer, it's been several times where big companies were going to fail and the government bailed them out.
Correct.
So that needs to stop.
A lot of banks.
That needs to stop, like now, because that will fix a lot of this problem.
I
Well,
li-
airlines, right?
Yep.
Airlines, motor companies, banks. Who else got bailed out? I'm sure there are other.
There are lots of other ones. Yep.
So what that does,
It's perverse incentives not to do the right thing.
correct.
I mean, even the hospitals and the doctors during COVID got perverse incentives.
They do.
And it's wrong that the governments are offering perverse incentives to do the wrong thing. And it needs to stop. I don't have any hope that Trump will stop that or any of his cabinet, but they might.
You can make it better.
Yeah, if they improve it even halfway. If RFK Jr. gets in and cleans house in the healthcare, I'm all for that. It's I don't agree with his policies, his stances on a lot of things. But if what he says is true, which I would think so, because you can look about 20 years ago, what he talked about on what he wants to do with vaccines, and that is just he wants them tested.
Real testing,
yeah,
not fake testing.
correct. He wants real medical testing done on vaccines. I'm all for real testing of any type of medical product. I hope that it goes through. I really do, because it would be such a benefit. I mean, we went from, I'm trying to think, I think it's the first 2 years of a baby's life, we went from having 7 vaccines to I don't know how many now. I think it's like 80 or something.
And I don't mind vaccines, nor do you, because
No,
I think all our kids are vaccinated.
they are.
What we did is we looked at what the vaccine prevented and how bad that was versus
Correct.
risk of vaccine injury.
Yeah, well, it's like the COVID vaccine. Nobody under 60 should ever have it.
No, or
Because-
if you have comorbidities, as long as you didn't have comorbidities as well.
Well, but even a comorbidity in a younger person, they shouldn't take it.
Correct.
The only people that should get it is the old people, and I fit that, but I'm not getting it because
And that was only for the first one.
yes, that was only for and so now they're up to what, 8 or 9 boosters or something silly, because I heard it listening to the radio drive, and I heard they're advertising again to get your booster. How many boosters do you need? I mean,
Well, it was safe and effective the first time.
oh gosh, yes. That's just
But that's the thing is that's what needs to be fixed. I almost think the FDA needs to go away, and there needs to be a better testing mechanism.
well.
The
If
problem-
if RFK Jr. gets rid of the cycle of going from the FDA to big pharma coming into the FDA and
Yeah, but the problem
stops
with
that.
the FDA is they don't have an incentive to be good.
Correct.
Because if they get it wrong, what's gonna happen to them?
Well, you look at NIH too.
Nothing's gonna happen to them. A while back, I don't remember what libertarian thing I was reading, but I'm more libertarian anyway. They were talking about how if you had 3 separate pseudo-private organizations that did testing for products, and they have to be approved by one of those 3 organizations, those organizations could be held liable for the results. And so if they slapped an approved label on something, then they get sued. And
So it was like, so you're talking about like what is that called? ULA? What they do private testing? There used to be a private, oh gosh.
yeah, so instead of having the government put a stamp of approval
Yeah.
on stuff, which means almost nothing, and we have evidence to show that it actually means the opposite of almost nothing. It means that they knew stuff was harmful and they put their stamp on it anyway. This way, you would have some sort of recourse against somebody. And so, if you have 3 different people who are allowed to do it, and then one of them consistently does it wrong, then they have to be shut down, and a new one has to replace them. So at least you have somewhat market competition to keep everyone sound, and you have a reason for speed. Is how they make their money, the faster they get things to market.
It's UL, Underwriting I can't talk this morning. They do safety testing, and they're not government owned, and so they do that underwriter lab.
That's what I've always wondered about government licensing or approval of stuff is the government's never liable for anything that they approve.
Yeah.
It's like if you're a licensed contractor and you do a bad job, you can't
sue the government for licensing. Yeah.
Which I think should be allowed. The government's giving out license saying that people are competent to do a job and they don't do their job competently, and they got a license, they should be sued. But I think something like that should give a better incentive, I think, to approve products and stuff versus what we currently have.
That's underwriting laboratory. It's a UL, the little UL sticker you see on a lot of electronics.
So something like that instead of the FDA. So the FDA would no longer approve anything. You just fire everyone there.
Yeah.
I like firing them.
I would hope that they clean house, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. All right.
So this is Australia. They want to put in a age verification for children to get on social media. And the issue with it,
I have moved 2 months. Continue.
The issue is, how do you do that? And the only way to do that is you have to have everybody in the entire country have age verification and signed up with the government.
So the reason I'm for it is
because you're a commie pinko.
No, adult stores exist, right?
Correct.
You have to show a driver's license to go into an adult store.
I didn't know that, but yes, okay.
You have to show your driver's license to prove you're old enough to go into an adult store. You don't have to do that anywhere online.
It's true. No,
no one's held liable for allowing underage kids to see content that is not of age.
So depending on how they implement it, that's the issue. It always depends on how they implement it.
So I understand that implementation can definitely be an issue, like a privacy issue, massive privacy issue. But I think social media companies especially should be held accountable to a certain standard of allowing underage kids to see adult content.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they should. Even X right now, they've gotten a lot better. Yeah. X has about removing porn and porn bots and whatever you want to call them. They've got a lot better. They're still an issue, but Elon taking over, he made massive improvements in it. But and child porn too. Yes. He's almost eradicated it as far as I've heard, that he's eradicated it off the platform, which you got to think, if they can do that, if he can do it, everyone could do it. But they choose not to. That's the only answer, and it's stupid. So hopefully, depending on how they implement it, if they were able to have a simple API, our government, that you could query if you have a driver's license number, and it could return the age back, that's it.
Essentially, we want to be able to verify the age without tying any
personal information to it.
Yeah. Account that the government can pull.
So if I could put my driver's license in, I'm not saying,
like a one-time thing.
Yeah. Well, no, you put your driver's license number in if you have it, and it goes and does a verification of age, and it returns either a thumbs up if it's over 18 or a thumbs down if it's not. Yeah. But see, that still doesn't solve the issue. And the reason is because if a child, all they have to do is take a picture of your dad's driver's license.
Yeah, it helps.
It does, but you understand what I'm saying? They just got to get the number.
Fake IDs have it all the time.
Well, but if you had it to the government, it wouldn't be fake. Wouldn't work.
Yeah, you could still make it fake.
But no, the API would. I mean, you could do the API call and it wouldn't return back valid data because it wouldn't have a valid number. But all they got to do is get somebody who has an actual valid number and use it. Now, how do you get around that piece? And that's my concern about this, is that do you have to have then two-factor, one biometric on your driver's license? And that's the thing that then all of a sudden.
I agree, it's difficult. I think it needs to be solved though.
I would like to see it solved.
Brought as many ideas
Yeah,
Tighten some things out.
and prove it.
Maybe just pass a law that the government's not allowed to go after those people, but that's probably not going to stop them.
No, but if you were just to put, yeah, I agree. It needs to be solved. It should be solved. I don't think it's that difficult. It just has to be done.
It does have to be
And there might be 15 different ways you had to do it out there. Well, tough.
15 different ways is fine. I'd rather have a way for it to be done.
Yeah.
I'd rather be required to verify my age in a legitimate way than a pop-up that says, "Are you over 18?"
Yeah, exactly. Yes or no? Wait a minute. Really? No, and I agree. And the issue is normally when the government gets involved in these things, they use it for
Other purposes.
that was never intended.
Correct. And so that needs to be thought about. But I think
Our great
just like in-person adult stores don't allow underage kids in. Online needs to be something needs to be done to make that stop.
Well, our great example of the government using it for wrong purposes is Social Security numbers. Federal law stated that they were never supposed to be used for identification purposes.
How long did that last?
And it didn't last very long because if you think about it, every place that I've ever gone to the doctor, they ask for your Social Security number. Why?
Well, Blockbuster asks for it when you got your card.
Yeah, I mean, so why? Anyhow, don't give it to them. By the way, don't give it to them. They can't require it.
Yeah. This will be interesting to see what happens. Something needs to happen. The government telling people that it's required isn't necessarily going to fix anything, but we'll see what happens.
And it does need to be some form of biometrics.
Yeah.
Because if you can get other people's information.
You can.
So
How do you do that in a way that allows anonymity on social media? Because guess what? I'm a fan of that.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't know, our founding fathers, several of them wrote articles in newspapers and journals
pamphlets. And pamphlets. They actually wrote pamphlets.
all kinds of stuff with anonymous names.
And the reason is because they didn't want to be killed
So that needs to be
by the government.
But
You're down the bottom.
so that needs to be continued, but we also need to do some sort of age verification.
Yep.
All right. This one is So Meta has an antitrust case going back to antitrust. Excuse me. Meta has an antitrust case in Europe, and then in Japan, Amazon has an antitrust case. And honestly, Amazon, Meta, Microsoft not as bad currently, but they still are probably in that part. Google, who else should be gone after for antitrust?
There needs to be a rule of thumb, and there might be, and I just don't know about it. But there needs to be a rule of thumb. If you get to X size, well, for an example, there's 5 companies now in the world that own all of the oil resources. There shouldn't be only 5 companies. That means that you can't.
Yeah.
As mentioned before, I work for one of the big companies that handles food in the U.S. And there's 4 of them, and they're like 90% of this food product. It's insane, and they shouldn't be allowed. And I don't know how that works. And see, I'm saying shouldn't be allowed, but I don't know how that works that we allow competition in still. Because they bring some benefits. They bring lower prices most of the time.
So one of the things that's supposed to help is the Federal Trade Commission is supposed to approve mergers for larger companies, or disapprove them if they think it's going to be anti-competitive. And honestly, they just probably just approve them.
Yeah, I suppose, unless some political hack gets involved.
Yeah, so it's like the cell carriers, right?
Yeah.
There used to be more, and then Sprint and T-Mobile merged. There's only 3 major ones now.
Yeah. And then all the little guys are actually piggybacking on all the big guys. They just have contracts with them to.
Elon might change that because he said he's going to allow anyone to use his satellite for cell.
That's going to be the change through innovation again. Now, Elon's probably going to end up being one of the monopolies because who competes on that stage?
But is his monopoly due to innovation, or is it from him purchasing all the IP?
Well, 20 years from now, it'll be not innovation more than likely.
No, he probably won't be still alive by then.
I don't know. What is he? How old is he? 40, 50?
He's in his 50s.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, going back to Amazon, the Japanese authorities have raided Amazon, and they're working on doing something to break them up or cause them to be more competitive. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. I mean, Europe historically just slaps fines on people for anti-competitive, which means they just are going to continue doing it.
Oh,
It's just
that's what they
cost
do.
of
Yeah.
doing business. But what the U.S. is doing to Google is a massive thing. So hopefully they'll do something with Amazon. The biggest thing with Amazon that they're doing that is anti-competitive is they went from being a third-party marketplace that was really nice for small businesses to, if your product sells really good on there and you're a small business, they'll just copy it and then make their own brand and then promote that brand and screw you over. So
Yeah, it's
they're the worst. Well, they're kind of the worst. I mean, they've innovated in a lot of ways.
well, and one of the things they've innovated in, but at the same time driven the market away, is books.
Yeah, it's weird.
Because they own now, I don't remember what the percentage, but a huge high percentage of all the book sales in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
and worldwide probably as well. And most of the books are being sold, even if they're a physical copy. Not forget Kindle,
Yeah.
but they own the market in Kindle as well. But physical, and I don't. Yeah.
That market's ready for disruption as well.
Yeah.
Because they need to do DRM free books.
Yeah, it would be nice.
Just like Amazon. It was who was the one for music? The original one who had free downloads. I can't remember.
I'm trying to remember
It
too.
was pirated. It wasn't good, but you could go get your music there for free.
Well, with
But then Amazon came out and sold the music DRM free, where Apple wouldn't, and they disrupted that market. So someone needs to come out and start selling ebooks without DRM.
there's a few out there, but you don't. Amazon's licensing with their writers is so restrictive that you can't.
That's where the FTC needs to get involved.
Yeah,
No,
you just
FTA? No, FTC.
Federal Trade Commission. Yeah, is that's the issue, is that if they didn't have that super restrictive contract, but you get that, you want that because guess what? You'll sell all of your books through them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it handcuffs you and doesn't allow you to do anything that you.
Well, it's like what the FTC came out, when was it, last year? Or maybe it was 2 years ago, and said anti-compete agreements are null and void unless you own 20% of the company or more.
Yeah.
And I think that's wonderful because that does exactly what you're talking about. It helps employees have the ability to do what's best for them versus
Correct.
what's best for the company. So maybe that's something that needs to happen, is the FTC needs to come out and say you can't require a company to not sell their books elsewhere.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's not books. Maybe that just should go everything wide. Is that your contract cannot set exclusive boundaries
Yeah. Or it's a time limited.
or time limited, right?
If they got rid of copyright and got it back to the way it was, because it was only supposed to be 15 years.
Yeah, and now
And
they
now it's the lifetime of the person who created it
plus 75 years or something. I think it's 75 years, but it's just,
That's all it is, well.
yeah, it's, I don't know, it's important to protect your intellectual property. It is, and
To a certain extent.
I'm not arguing that point. I mean, because we could have 15 years, most of the stuff, if it was back to 15 years, you think about it. If you develop something in 15 years, even if you patent it, somebody's going to have something that looks close to it in 15 years if it's selling well.
Yeah, 15 years is pretty much enough time for you to make most of the money you can off a product.
And then move to the next one. Yeah, no, I agree.
We'll see what happens. I think we'll end the plane there unless you have any other comments.
It'll be this next few months till January 20th
I'm excited. Next year's going to be fun.
are going to be interesting because I think a lot of, well, they're already starting to change, but I think there's going to be a lot of realignments.
Yeah.
And it'll be it's going to be fun to watch. So
I agree with that. It's
hold on to your seat, folks.
gonna be a fun time next year.
All right.
Well, thanks for listening. We will be posting videos directly on X now, and hopefully we'll be doing a live stream in the morning when we record these on there. Maybe next time, we'll see. So you can check us out there. We'll have the links to our socials in the description and links to the articles and such like that. So leave us a comment, give us a thumbs up, subscribe. Thanks.
Thank you.